So, and I want you to understand that you are a product of the choices that you've made, or let me say this, your today is a product of the choices that you made yesterday. And your tomorrow will be a product of the choices that you make today. One of the problems that we often have as human beings is that we give the power that we have, or the power that our choices have, to external influences. And so we tend to use these things as an excuse as to why or why not we live a certain type and quality of life. I agree that we go through things as human beings. We experience things as human beings. We are beat up. Maybe you were abused. Maybe you've gone through so much. You've been rejected, this, that, and the third. You've gone through a lot. It's life. Bad things happen to good people, as the phrase says. But after a certain age, how much of those experiences you carry into the next day are determined by you. So what happens is that a lot of times people tend to live in a victim mentality. They choose to stay in a position of perpetual victimization. Victimization. You choose to dwell there. And so when one chooses to do, and a lot of times that's a demon as well. There's a demon of victimization that likes to be, that when it inhabits someone, it likes to be victimized. But I'm not just talking about the demon that likes to be victimized. I'm speaking to the mentality of the individual. That they blame their life, or they blame their choices and everything they experience in life on everything that's external. They are unable to take responsibility for themselves as human beings and as adults. If you ask them why they do certain things, why they live a certain way, the response will always be, this happened so-and-so years ago. And yes, we are not discrediting what has happened. We understand that because of what has happened, you may need deliverance. This is why we pray the way we pray. But understand this, the choices that you make are your choices. The greatest thing the enemy has, or can make you do, or can do, is to suggest something to you. How many of you have watched those shows, those cartoons where there's an angel on the right and a little demon on the left? And the angel will say, oh no, don't do that, don't do that. And the demon will say, oh yeah, you gotta do that. Da, da, da. You know, that is literally what demons do. They suggest. And a lot of times their suggestions come with emotions. That's why sometimes people find it hard to resist, because it'll come with emotions. It'll come with physical sensations. It'll come with memories and thoughts. It'll come with triggers. All these things will light up in your system, in your anatomy, and you'll feel as though you have literally no choice but to do the very thing that you're being tempted to do by the enemy. But understand this, you doing that thing is your choice. Unless you've gotten to a place of complete possession, you have a choice. Unless you get to the place where you black out and then you do something, until you get there, you have a choice. And so even when a demon is because what people do is that they use demonization as an excuse to do whatever they want to do. And they'll say, I'll just do it, or, I need deliverance. I'll just do whatever. And they may not even really need deliverance, they need discipline. Because even if you have a demon, it doesn't mean you have to operate in its urges. I've prayed for people who've had certain demons, but they exercised their ability to make a choice to not do what that spirit wanted them to do. It was a choice. And a lot of times I like praying for those people because I know that those are the most fruitful deliverance sessions. By the time those demons leave them, I know they're not going to go back to their dirt because they've already disciplined themselves to the point that even when they had a demon, they weren't doing its urges. This was what took place a lot of times in the older church and in the Word of Faith movement. A lot of people were demonized, but they stood firm on their values. But because they didn't deal with things that were generational, their children suffered, but they themselves, they stood firm. So how much more us with the knowledge and the revelation of deliverance is not so you can go back, sin, do what you want to do, get re-demonized, then you come back and say, oh, prophet, pray for me. No. Deliverance is a one-stop shop. It's supposed to be, you get deliverance from what you're dealing with and you move on in your development, your relationship with God and your revelation of Christ. It's not supposed to be a back and forth thing because Christ did not create you to dwell in that position. He created you to live a life of continual and perpetual spiritual growth because there's so much in him that you don't